tasting a easy to find and easy to taste French wine. Mainly, we're going to choose wines that are made of just a single grape variety. So yesterday we have chosen a Muscat, which was coming from the Pays d'Oc, from the Languedoc on the southwest, not too far from Spain. And today we're going to stay still on the south, and we're going to go to Cahors. Cahors is a small place that is situated the lot. The lot appertains, well, it's part of the southwest as well, but it's much shorter than the Languedoc-Roussillon. So it's a bit more, if you start from Bordeaux, you like to go on the Basque Country in Spain, and then you have to go through those areas. Mainly is one of the places where foie gras produces great ducks and a quite strong meaty, heavy cuisine you can find. Well, as I said, now we're going to open a Cahors, which I chosen a pure Malbec 100%, 2018 vintage. I haven't found out the 2019 vintage. I try generally to choose a very young vintage, so you can taste whatever it is in a, how can I say, in very easy way to get the flavors. Of course, when you choose an old vintage, then you have the oak, you have the aging, you have the difference that makes with time and many other things. So when you choose a young one, of course you have the pure fruit, and then you have everything which is juicy, fruity. It comes just after the must. So the one I'm choosing mainly, well, except the one that is, of course, you have to choose by the denomination. Mainly, they do not have any aging into the oak. I think oak is very good, but oak is good when you have wines that they need to age. They really need to age, and also you have wines that you will drink after 5 or 10 years. In that case, I'm choosing which has no at all, because grape, sorry, Malbec, which has no at all, because you can test the pure fruit juice by itself. So I'm going to open. In that case, the cork, well, unfortunately, is a plastic one, but generally, is, as I said yesterday, talking about Muscat de Frontignan, sorry, the Muscat of yesterday was not Frontignan, was Pays d'Oc, because you have to pay attention with the IGP and AOC, but we'll talk perhaps later. So sometimes it's better to have a regular cork which is not made of wood, rather than it's better to have a plastic cork or a screw cork than to have a cheap wood cork, which generally most of the time those cheap and wood cork, sometimes you get the corked wine, or you get the wine that tastes a little bit the moisty, or it might lose a little bit during the time. So if the cork is not good, better to avoid, better to get a different things rather than a regular cork. So we're going to pour the wine. As I said, it's very, you have to pay real attention on the denomination, because during the last time Europe has changed a lot. The denomination has been the first time, well, before there was just a simple AOC for wines, and there was the AOC from the region, then the AOC for the first Premier Cru, which was mainly regarding Burgundy. Then there was the AOC Grand Cru, which is Grand Cru Classé for Bordeaux, which is a special classification for Burgundy. The Grand Cru is much more complicated. I'm just really explaining in a very easy way to explain. So in that case, we stay on the AOC Cahors, but now has become AOP. So now we have IGP, which means Indication Géographique Protégée, and is a wine from quite a big region that has got a bit less rules on the aging, on the preparation. What French they call cahier des charges. I don't know if you can find out the translation, perhaps might be much easier to find. And then you have the AOC, where they have a bit more rules. But of course, when you start to have the Premier Cru and the Grand Cru, which is still AOC, which is still, sorry, AOP, Grand Cru, is going to be much different. So we're going to taste now. When you taste Malbec, you have to remember something. Strong color. That's why sometimes Malbec was used to give some more color to wines from, well, a couple of centuries ago. More color to the wines. So sometimes even from Burgundy and from other regions, they have less chance. Yesterday as well, I've been speaking about Languedoc, telling the from Languedoc that were used to cut other wines, and it is all the case. Generally, if you have a look on the weather, well, France is split in two parts. The southern part is very sunny, and um, during the time they selected the grapes that are very heavy in alcohol, very heavy in color, and on the northern part they have more um, grapes like Pinot Noir, like a few Cabernet, they're very thin. They produce something a bit lighter in color, even if it's quite good. And into the good vintages, they do a great and very elegant wine, but to the very bad vintages, they almost can't produce. So sometimes or they can produce much less, and they with quality which is not well, it has got a big lack of body and I can say of complexity. So most of the time in the past, really into the 1 century, 2 century ago, they used to bring the wine from the south and then to cut with those wines. It has been after the First World War and the Second World War, many cases that Algeria has given some wines to France to cut the grape, the must to cut the wines, or sometimes Spain. Spain has been one of the biggest, what can I say, one of the biggest countries that given what can I say, has given a grapes to cut the wines. I'm sorry, I'm receiving some messages on the chat of people connected with the chat by Twitter. Thank you very much to write on me. So coming back on the tasting, the Cahors, as I say, the Malbec. Well, you have a ruby color which is very strong, very intense, and what you can feel is, I can say, you have purple, some purple reflects on top. A little bit some purple color. That means that it's young and it's very thick. So when you put on that way, you see very thick things, and it's very purple, very deep. So in that case, you really feel that the wine is still very young. Malbec keeps generally lives a long time. I've tasted some Cahors of La Grisette and very famous houses that from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and even the 60s, they almost seems very young. So those one are wines that can keep a very long time. Perhaps if I'll find out about we'll taste together one of those days, say 1992 La Grisette, which is one of the best Cahors I've tasted and keeps very long time. I mean, keep saying very long time. So very thick color, very deep, with a very brilliant. So it's a wine that is young, and the consistency is very thick because we're talking about a wine that is has to be strong and full body. On the nose, you feel more the outness of this wine. It's very young. So when you have those kind of Malbec, the nose is very close on the beginning, so you have lots of a very mature black, well, dark and red fruits that are on the nose. Sometimes really seems like to get some fruits like a blueberry or a raspberry that are almost confit. Then you have a little bit of spices that reminds a little bit of black pepper and the sweet spices, something even that reminds really in lightweight the curry, but is, how can I say, it's not given to the evolution. Doesn't come from the evolution, it comes really from the grape. So it's original from this grape. This grape still keeps really the original flavor because it's not, as I said, the aging is not very particular and other things. So you have really the fruity and the juicy taste. The mouth is very rich. So when you have a Malbec, the mouth is be thick. From the beginning, you have all this richness that comes, that brings all over the, space all over the mouth, and you have strong tannins at the beginning. Well, if you were drinking Cahors to the last 20 or 30 years, you may easily find the wines that they have very strong tannins. You couldn't drink wine after a couple of years. You need to wait at least 10 years. But lots of producers they learned during the last 20 years that um, wine has to be good even after. After 30 years, it has to be very good since the wine is put into the bottle and then on the market. So when a wine is on the market produce the leather that has to be already easy, well, good drinking. So I'm always sorry for my English. It was a long time I was not talking, so I'm now getting a little bit in practice with the something that I haven't been done for perhaps a decade or even a bit more. So even if I'm always listening U.S. television or British television, but most of the time, something is listening and something is talking. So coming back, otherwise I get lost, but it's not very complicated. So coming back, generally those producers, they learn that if they want to sell their wine soon, I mean, if they don't want to stock their wine for 3 decades into their cellar, they have to do wine which is much drinkable when it's young. So that's why you can get or you can drink it now. Of course, it might be much better in 10, 15 years, but now it's still, I mean, it is quite good. It's very drinkable. So those one of wines that generally you match with the local dish, the duck. You can do a roasted duck. You can do a well, foie gras not, but you can do a recipe that has got the liver, the goose liver, but roasted as well. I would not go for foie gras. It's too tannic, it's too strong. Better to choose sweet wine. And this is a place where also you can find some sweet wines, but we'll talk perhaps another time. So perhaps some roasted liver, or it might be very nice with some roasted duck, or perhaps with a food which might be like a beef bourguignon. Even if beef bourguignon is too salty for those wines, it really needs a food that has got a fat, which is fat, which is rich, which has got a big texture, and which really, how can I say, gives to your mouth the fat. I mean, it's how can I say it. Goes all over your palate, and you will need something with a stronger tannin and with a high alcohol just to balance it. When you match food, which is something is that we will talk about for other times. Sorry, I hope you could hear. When you match food, which is very important, is that generally wine has to be a balance. So when you have a little bit of food and then you have a glass of wine, well, even a sip of wine, and it matches well, you really want to continue. So, the rules, there are no particular rules, but I think that there is something a little bit mathematic into the choice between wine and food. So, for example, if you bring a roast duck, when you bring over a piece of roast duck in your mouth, what you get? You get the roast flavor side, which might be a little bit stronger. Then you get a little bit the bitterness as well. If you have roasted too much, otherwise, well, better to avoid. Then when you chew it, you will get some water in your mouth. So when it is what I call succulency, I don't know the translation, but when you get this water in your mouth, you need to dry out this water in your mouth. So how do you do? Alcohol and tannins. Generally, alcohol and tannins they there to balance this water that your mouth produces. It comes from the juice of the meat you're eating. So this one will dry out. And if you have got some fat, imagine that I have no duck at home, or I've got a duck which is too fat. I'm going to roast it, but there is still some fat on it because the duck is good, or because it's a liver, it's a goose liver, so it's still quite fatty. So how do I do? Generally, what pairs very well with fat is acidity. If the fat is not too strong, if it doesn't really come over all your mouth, all your palate, and if it's very very strong as well, coming back tannins, alcohol, and acidity, that will help everything. So you have the hard things on the wines. Generally, you split into the hard ingredients, I would say, and then I'll find out the translation to the next stream. I'll explain it, the hard ingredients and the how can I say, the sweet ingredients. So going on the sweet ingredients, you have sugar, alcohol, roundness, the texture, whoever gives things in the roundness, which is gentler for you. And then on the other side, you have the hard things, the tannins, the acidity, and sometimes the alcohol. If the alcohol is a little bit harsh, that's why I say the alcohol, it depends. But most of the time, officially, it's considered how can I say, a gentle part, but because it warms up and warms up your palate, and you feel like you're having a bit more sugar, you're having a bit more roundness on your wine. But when you go on the other side, if you have I can say, with acidity, with tannins, and if your alcohol is a little bit harsh, like a very southern wine, so you have a wine a bit strong in alcohol, you can balance more of the food. So which is very important is to find out this balance. And at the end of the day, a wine has to be equilibrated. Always the equilibrium allows the wine to finish off the bottle and has to be with harmony. Harmony is the secret perhaps of the beauty and considered by many people, and the secret perhaps of the good taste. So if, for example, I bring over a bottle, there are two people sitting on table and the bottle is a 6 glass of wine. So if a wine is good, we might be able to drink 3 glasses each person. That's why this was one of the things that was said a long time ago by a guidebook, which is called the Gamba Rosso, the 3 glasses, that was given 3 glasses to go to the top wines of the country, because the they thought, I mean, they called 3 glasses because if two people were sitting at a table and the bottle was going to finish off very quick, so it means that the wine was very well balanced, so we could finish off the bottle. So coming back, so when you match wine and food, has to be the same for him. So wine and food have to match together, because you have to find this balance, to find the, I mean, has to give you the I can say the you really want to continue, you really want to keep matching wine and food together. So this card seems very good, the Malbec. Very pleasant. You have a good acidity at the end. This acidity at the end, it allows you to feel that the wine is a bit lighter and to keep drinking this wine. So it's very important that you can keep drinking the wine. Well, of course, you have in the afternoon. I cannot drink the whole bottle at once. I would a very funny stream, perhaps I would say, without shirts, that would be much funny. So coming back on Cahors, you are into a place which is very traditional, into the French gastronomic culture. You have really one of the richness. Of course, when you come to France, most of the very elegant recipe have been elaborated in Paris, but all the food in France appears on the Provence, appears on the small towns and other things, and then a food that becomes national, popular, it comes to Paris and is elaborated a bit more in an elegant way. So this is very important. In these regions, as I said, is the region of the father liver. You have very good food and you have very good wines. Of course, you have wines with the hard character, and lots of people told me that Cahors was the wine of the poor people to Russia, because a long time ago was sent to the Tsar in Russia a case of a La Romanée Burgundy, which is one of the best in the world, one of the most expensive wine, and the Tsar of Russia tasting this wine saying it was too good, so it was too good to give to people, to the regular people, and to import to Russia, uh, even to give the aristocracy. So he said, let's keep the Romane for me, and let's find out a wine that might be as well very good, very balanced, but a bit more rich, a bit more strong for the Russian weather. So I mean, he sent some people to France back to find out a wine that could feed the country, and then he find out the Cahors, which then has been the wine of the aristocracy, the wine of the middle class. Well, of course, low class had no wine at that time. Generally, before the Russian Revolution, people they used to drink perhaps water if it was in good condition. It was a bit more difficult, but this is another thing. So it's something which that doesn't goes out our discussion. I'm very happy that you follow me for this short time, and I'm really happy to continue. I'm starting perhaps. I'm not streaming this weekend probably, and I'm starting perhaps from Monday with with my wife that has got a cooking channel. So hope you will enjoy. And of course, I'm going to post this video on YouTube as well on my channel, Giovanni Curcio. And of course, do not hesitate to write on a comment to see what did you think about this wine. And if you have any question, of course, write me on the Twitch chain, and I will answer you. And perhaps if needs, I'll make even a quick stream on it. Thank you. Have a nice day.